The forgotten legends for centuries, the galaxy whispered about humans. Some called them warriors, others monsters, and many laughed, saying they were nothing more than bedtime tales. In the grand halls of alien academies, students studied old myths, stories of a strange species from a small blue planet, creatures who fought wars with fire and steel, who never surrendered even when outnumbered. But in time, the galaxy decided humans were gone. The legends faded into dust. No records showed them, no colonies, no fleets. Only silence. Ambassador Drax of the Valon Dominion often mocked the idea. Humans? He laughed in the council chamber. Ghosts from the past, a story to frighten. Children. His long arms waved dismissively as the others chuckled. Yet not everyone was so sure. In darker corners of the galaxy, smugglers told hushed tales of ships vanishing on empty trade routes. Miners whispered of black hulls moving like shadows among the asteroids. No evidence, no proof, only fear. It all began to change one cold night in the Outer Rim. A patrol fleet from the Dravari Empire drifted through Sector 17. Captain Relics stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the scanners. His crew was restless. It was supposed to be a simple run, a boring assignment. But suddenly, alarms screamed across the consoles. "Unknown signal detected," shouted the navigator. Relics leaned forward. The display showed an energy signature, sharp and steady. Not random noise, not a natural pulse. It was deliberate. "Identify it," he ordered. The crew worked furiously. Finally, the systems compared the signal to ancient records. The color drained from the navigator's face. "Captain, this code, it matches pre-Union designs. It matches human frequencies." The bridge fell silent. The word alone carried weight. "Impossible," Relics muttered. "Humans are myths. They are dust." But the signal repeated again, clear and strong, echoing across the dark void. The fleet followed the source. Hours passed as they crept through the shadows of dead moons and drifting debris. Then they found it. Floating in the darkness was a wreck, a massive ship, its hull torn open, its engines silent. Yet even broken, it carried a terrifying presence. The design was unlike anything in the modern galaxy. Sleek, black, sharp like the edge of a blade. The markings were faint but clear. Letters burned into the metal. UNS. The crew gasped. Old records confirmed it. United Nations ship. Human-made. Relics. Felt his chest tighten. He whispered the word as if it might bring the ship alive again. Humans. They sent their findings to the council. Within days, the galaxy buzzed with rumor. Was this wreck real? Was it planted? Did humans still exist? In the council chamber, chaos erupted. "This is madness," Drax shouted, slamming his hands on the table. "Humans are gone. This is a trick, some pirate technology." But another envoy, a cautious elder with silver eyes, spoke in a low voice. "The wreck is real. The design matches ancient files. If one ship existed, there may be more." The council erupted into arguments. Some demanded investigation. Others demanded silence. Fear spread. Quiet but heavy. Meanwhile, far away in the darkness beyond mapped stars, shadows stirred. A fleet that should not exist drifted silently through black space. Engines whispered. Weapons gleamed. Their hulls carried no symbols, but their design was unmistakable. They were human warships, and they were waiting. Back in the Outer Rim, Captain Relics could not sleep. He sat alone in his quarters, replaying the image of the wreck. He remembered the sharp angles, the strange markings, the way the broken ship seemed alive even in death. "Legends," he whispered to himself. "But legends don't leave wrecks." He felt something shift deep inside him. For the first time in his long career, Captain Relics understood fear. Not of pirates, not of rival empires, but of the ghosts from humanity's forgotten past. The galaxy had laughed at the idea of humans. They had called them stories, myths, shadows. But now, proof drifted in the void. A wreck, silent and broken, yet screaming louder than any myth. And somewhere out there, beyond the stars, something was watching. Something was moving. The humans were not gone. They were only waiting for the right moment to return. Whispers of return, the discovery of the wreck, spread across the galaxy faster than light. What began as a single report from Captain Relix's patrol soon became the only subject of every council hall, every marketplace, every shadowy bar in the outer rim. The word was whispered like a forbidden prayer. Humans. At first, many dismissed it. Some called it a hoax, a piece of ancient scrap placed by smugglers to stir fear. Others mocked the idea with laughter. Humans? Nothing but fairy tales. If they were real, the Union would have found them long ago. But beneath the jokes, unease began to grow. In the Galactic High Council chamber, the envoys argued fiercely. Ambassador Drax of the Veylan Dominion stood tall, his long arms crossed. This is a trick. Pirates scavenged old metal and painted it with false markings. We waste our time with children's stories. An older envoy, Sirene of the Solari, leaned forward. Her silver eyes shone with quiet worry. And yet the markings are true. The codes match our oldest records. No pirate could have known them. If one wreck exists, it means something survived. The chamber filled with voices. Some envoys demanded an immediate investigation. Others shouted for secrecy. A few, the most fearful, whispered of sending fleets to destroy any trace of human relics before panic consumed the galaxy. Still, the evidence could not be erased. The wreck was real. The code was real. The whispers grew louder. On mining colonies, workers stared into the stars and muttered to one another. What if the humans never died? What if they were watching us all this time? On trade routes, smugglers carried stories instead of goods. A black ship followed my convoy, one captain swore in a smoky cantina. It vanished before my sensors could lock. Too fast, too sharp. It had to be human. Fear crept like smoke through every corner of the galaxy. The council finally made its decision. Send a fleet to investigate further. Admiral Voran of the Chiron Empire received the order with little patience. He was a proud officer, his fleet strong and disciplined. He laughed when he heard the rumors. Ghost ships? Legends? Nonsense. My fleet will uncover the truth, and the truth will show humans were never real. But even his laughter could not calm the unease among his crew. As the fleet prepared to leave, whispers spread through the ranks. Soldiers exchanged nervous glances. Pilots muttered in their quarters. Everyone had grown up with the same stories. Stories of humans who fought wars against impossible odds. Stories of humans who burned their enemies with fire and iron, who refused to kneel even when empires fell around them. Legends said humans were more dangerous than any other species, not because of their strength, but because of their will. And now those legends had a wreck to prove them. The investigation fleet entered the sector where the wreck had been found. At first all seemed quiet. Empty space, silent stars. But then the sensors lit up again. Captain, a young officer called out, voice shaking. We are detecting more wreckage, different sizes, different classes, all human design. The bridge grew still. Through the viewing glass, dark shapes floated in the void. Broken ships, some massive, some small. All carrying the same markings. UNS, Admiral Voran's face hardened. Bring them aboard. We'll strip them down, prove they are nothing but ancient trash. But even as his fleet moved in, one of the wrecks flickered. A faint glow pulsed along its shattered hull. Then, for one heartbeat, its engines came alive. The wreck did not move. The signal faded instantly. But it was enough. The crew stared at the readings in horror. Admiral, the officer whispered. It was transmitting. That wreck wasn't dead. Something answered. Across the galaxy, the council received the report. Their chambers fell silent. The evidence could no longer be ignored. The whispers of return had become louder than fear. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy faced a terrifying question. What if humans were never gone? First sightings, the galaxy no longer laughed. The wreckage reports had spread too far, too fast. No council order, no declaration of denial could silence the whispers anymore. Everywhere, from the shining core worlds to the shadowy outer rim, beings leaned close and asked one another the same question. What if the humans are back? For weeks, the investigation fleet drifted in the sector of the wrecks. Their ships circled the silent hulks, scanning, probing, searching for answers. Most of the wrecks were cold and broken, their hulls scarred by battles fought long ago. But every now and then, strange signals flickered, brief pulses like whispers in the dark. Admiral Voren remained defiant. These are scraps from an age we barely remember, nothing more. His voice thundered across his flagship, but deep inside, even he felt a tightness in his chest. Too many signs, too many coincidences. One night, as his fleet passed through a drifting asteroid belt, it happened. The sensors screamed first. Red alarms flashed across the consoles. "Unknown contact detected," shouted the officer at the front. The bridge crew rushed to their stations. The reading showed a vessel moving among the asteroids. Fast, deliberate, unlike anything they had seen before. Admiral Voren narrowed his eyes. On screen, the view flickered, then cleared. From the shadows of the asteroids, a ship emerged. It was sleek and black, its hull absorbing the starlight. Its edges were sharp, almost predatory. No markings glowed on its sides, yet its design carried an unmistakable signature, the very same described in the oldest records of human fleets. The bridge went silent. Someone whispered what all of them were thinking. "It's human." The alien crew froze. They had heard the legends since childhood, stories of warships that moved like shadows and struck like storms, but now one floated before them, alive, real. "Signal it," Voren commanded. His voice trembled, though he tried to sound steady. "Order them to identify." The communication array pulsed. No reply. The ship drifted closer, silent, its black hull gleaming. "Fire a warning shot," Voren ordered quickly. One of the fleet's destroyers obeyed. A beam of plasma shot across space, passing close to the mysterious vessel. The shot lit up the asteroid field, fragments scattering into glowing dust. Still, the ship did not answer. Then in an instant it vanished. The sensors blinked in confusion. One moment the ship was there, the next it was gone. No warp signature, no trail, nothing. It had disappeared as if swallowed by the void. The bridge erupted in panic. Officers shouted, scanning desperately. "It's gone! Wait! No! Behind us!" The ship reappeared on their rear sensors, drifting calmly like a predator stalking prey. The destroyer that had fired the warning shot tried to lock on again, its weapons charged, lights glowing across its hull. But before it could fire, the mysterious vessel made its move. A flash of blue light streaked across the void. The destroyer's weapons went dark instantly. Engines died. The ship floated powerless, its systems stripped away in silence. The alien crew gasped. It wasn't destroyed, it was disabled in seconds. Admiral Voren's mouth went dry. He clenched his fists, struggling to keep his voice firm. "All ships, hold position. Do not engage." The black warship lingered for a moment longer. Then, its engines flared, brighter than any alien technology, and it shot forward at impossible speed. The scanners screamed, unable to track its path. Within seconds, it was gone again. Silence fell on the bridge. The crew sat frozen, their breaths shallow. They had seen the impossible. Voren finally spoke, his voice low and grim. "Send word to the council. The legends are true." Across the galaxy, the message spread like fire. A warship had appeared. Not broken, not ancient, but alive and moving. Stronger than any modern design, faster than any known engine. In marketplaces, beings whispered in fear. The humans are real. Their ships are out there. In military halls, commanders argued. Some demanded preparation for war. Others shook their heads, knowing no weapon in their arsenals could match what the patrol had seen. And in the deep dark, far beyond mapped space, more shadows stirred. The single sighting was not the end. It was only the beginning. The humans were not myths. They were returning. and their warships were more dangerous than anyone had ever imagined. The awakening fleet. The galaxy trembled. The report of Admiral Voron's fleet spread faster than any official could contain. A warship had appeared in the asteroid belt, black, sleek, and alive. It had moved faster than sensors could follow. It had silenced a destroyer with a single flash, then vanished without a trace. What had once been whispers became fear. In the Galactic High Council chamber, panic replaced arrogance. Ambassadors shouted across the Crystal Hall, their voices desperate. "They cannot be real," cried Drax of the Valen Dominion. "It was a trick, an illusion." But others shook their heads, their faces pale. Envoy Siren's voice trembled. "No illusion disables a destroyer in seconds. No myth leaves signals carved into our scanners. That was no ghost. That was a human ship." The chamber fell into uneasy silence. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy faced a threat beyond its control. Meanwhile, the outer rim grew restless. Trade convoys refused to leave safe lanes. Colonists looked at the stars with fear. Rumors spread like fire. Entire fleets had seen black ships moving in the dark. Some said they traveled faster than light. Others swore they turned invisible, at will. None of it could be proven, but the galaxy believed it all. The council tried to calm the chaos, but their words felt hollow. And then the impossible happened again. It began as a simple patrol near the abandoned Zera system. A small alien fleet scanned the region for signs of pirates. The system was dark, its sun dying, its planets lifeless. But in the shadow of the last barren world, their sensors screamed. Dozens of signals appeared at once. At first, the officers thought it was a malfunction. No fleet could appear so suddenly. But as the readings sharpened, their jaws fell open. One by one, massive black warships emerged from the void. They were silent, their hulls absorbing the faint light. Each vessel dwarfed the alien patrol ships, their designs sharp, precise, deadly. Their formation was perfect, every angle calculated. The fleet was awake. "Contact. Multiple vessels. Unknown origin," the alien commander shouted. But they all knew. Deep in their hearts, they knew. "Humans," someone whispered. The patrol fleet did not fire. They could not. Their weapons meant nothing against what loomed before them. The human ships moved slowly, deliberately, like predators showing themselves at last. Their engines glowed faint blue, steady and terrifying. One of the alien officers tried to signal. "Unknown fleet, identify yourselves." There was no reply. Instead, the largest ship shifted, turning its colossal hull toward the aliens. For a brief moment, power flared along its edges. Not a weapon fired, just a warning. Every alien in the patrol felt the message in their bones. "We are here. We are watching." The human fleet held position for several minutes, silent and still. Then, as suddenly as they had appeared, they vanished. Engines flared once and the warship slipped into the dark, leaving nothing but empty space behind. The alien patrol scrambled back to their capital, broadcasting frantic reports. By the time they arrived, the story had already spread. The humans were not just one ship. They were a fleet, and they had awakened. In the council chamber, chaos broke once again. Some envoys shouted for immediate war, demanding fleets be gathered to crush the humans before they grew stronger. Others shook with fear, knowing such a battle might doom them all. Selene of the Solari rose slowly, her silver eyes fixed on the floor. The galaxy thought humans were gone, but they were never gone. They were building, waiting, and now their fleet has returned. Her words silenced the chamber. Far from the council's halls, in the dark edges of space, the human fleet drifted together. Their warships gleamed like shadows of steel, their engines whispering with power. Inside their command ships, captains watched the galaxy with calm eyes. They had been forgotten, called myths, erased from history, but legends do not die, they wait, and now humanity's fleet had awakened. Fear, across the stars, the awakening of the human fleet tore through the galaxy like a storm. One day they were only legends. The next, dozens of black warships had risen from the shadows, calm and silent, more powerful than anything alive in the stars. Every world felt the fear. On the merchant routes of the core, freighters refused to leave dock. Captains whispered of black ships gliding beside them in the void, vanishing before sensors could lock. On mining colonies, workers stared into the sky at night, certain they saw shadows move among the stars. Even the bravest smugglers spoke in hushed tones, as if saying the word human too loudly might draw their gaze. In the Galactic High Council, panic broke the fragile unity of the envoys. "This cannot continue," cried Drax of the Valen Dominion. His long fingers slammed the table. If humans are truly back, they must be crushed before they spread fear across the Union. Others shook their heads, voices trembling. "Crushed? Did you not hear the reports? One ship disabled a destroyer with a single strike. A fleet revealed itself in the Zera system. What weapon do we have that can stop them?" Arguments roared through the crystal chamber. Some demanded war, some demanded diplomacy. A few, pale and shaking, whispered that perhaps the galaxy should stay silent, hoping the humans would turn their wrath elsewhere. But silence could not erase what had already begun. News of the fleet reached every star system. In marketplaces, mothers told their children to stay close, as if war might fall from the skies any moment. In barracks, soldiers trained harder, but their hands shook when they thought of black ships appearing out of nothing. Fear was spreading faster than any human weapon. Admiral Vorin, who had once mocked the idea of humans, now sat alone in his quarters. The memory of that black warship haunted him, the way it appeared without warning, the way it disabled his destroyer like swatting a fly, and the way it stared at his fleet without firing. He had commanded armies, broken rebellions, crushed pirates, but never had silence terrified him so deeply. Legends, he whispered to himself. They were never legends. Meanwhile, hidden meetings sparked across the galaxy. Rival empires who had once fought each other now gathered in secret, united by fear of one enemy. Maps were spread across tables, plans drawn, fleets counted. Yet every plan ended in silence. Against such ships, every strategy seemed fragile. Some voices in the council argued for peace. "Perhaps they do not seek war," said Siren of the Solari. "Perhaps they only want recognition, respect. We should send envoys, not weapons." But her words were drowned out by shouts of fear. "You do not reason with predators. You strike them before they strike you." Even as they argued, more sightings came. In the far rim, a convoy of 30 alien ships vanished without a trace. The only survivor swore that black vessels appeared, circled them, and then darkness. The survivor's ship was found drifting, its system shut down, but its crew alive, untouched. It was not destruction. It was a message. The galaxy trembled. Across alien worlds, ordinary citizens began to ask questions that leaders feared. If the humans were gone, why did their fleet survive? If they were building in silence, how strong are they now? And if they return, do we stand any chance? In the council chamber, Salura spoke quietly, her voice cutting through the noise. "You all speak of fleets and weapons, but you forget the truth of the legends. Humans were never feared only for their machines. They were feared because they never gave up. Even when beaten, even when broken, they fought until their enemies bled. You cannot crush such will with ships or numbers." Her words hung in the chamber like a shadow. For once, no one laughed, no one shouted. The fear was too real. And beyond the rim, deep in the dark, the human fleet gathered. Dozens of warships became hundreds. Their engines glowed faintly, silent and calm, like predators waiting for the right moment. They had listened to the galaxy's laughter for centuries. They had been called myths, ghosts, legends. Now the galaxy would learn the truth. The humans were not gone. They had been waiting, and their return would shatter the stars. Clash of wills. The galaxy was breaking under fear. Whispers of human fleets had grown into shouts. Reports of sightings flooded in, convoys vanishing, patrols disabled, warships seen drifting like shadows. The council no longer argued with arrogance. Now their debates were filled with panic. Some demanded war. Others begged for peace. But no decision came. Then came the message. The humans had moved again. Not in shadows this time, but in the open. A massive alien fleet, over 500 ships strong, was dispatched to the rim. They were told it was a show of strength, to prove the galaxy would not bow to myths. Admirals stood tall, speaking of honor and courage. Soldiers cheered loudly, but inside, their hearts shook. When the fleet arrived at the empty star system, silence welcomed them. No signals, no transmissions, no movement. Only the glow of a dying sun and the silent drift of asteroids. Then the shadows stirred. From the dark, black warships emerged one by one. First 10, then 50, then 100. They formed in perfect lines, engines glowing faint blue. The alien fleet froze as the formation grew. 200, 300, 400 ships. Every vessel was larger, sleeker, more terrifying than the stories had ever described. The humans had not sent raiders. They had sent a fleet to rival the galaxy itself. On the alien flagship, Admiral Taros gripped the rail. His officers stared at the displays in shock. "There are too many," one whispered. The comms officer turned pale. "Admiral, they're surrounding us." On the screens, the human ships spread out, enclosing the alien fleet in silence. No weapons fired, no threats spoken, just a slow, deliberate encirclement, like predators circling prey. "Open a channel," Taros barked. "Demand identification." The comms pulsed. No reply. "Signal again." Nothing. Finally, in desperation, one of the alien captains shouted into the void, "You are violating galactic law. Stand down or face destruction." Still silence. Then, one by one, human ships powered their weapons. Blue energy ran along their hulls, glowing like lightning trapped in steel. The void trembled with the hum of power. The alien crews panicked. Voices screamed across channels. "Their weapons are charging. Should we fire? Should we—" "Hold. Fire!" Admiral Taros shouted. His voice cracked. "If we fire first, we are doomed." The human fleet did not attack. They simply waited, their warships glowing brighter, their formation tightening. It was not an assault. It was a demonstration. A warning. Inside the alien fleet, soldiers trembled. Officers clenched their jaws, unable to hide their fear. The legends had said humans never needed to speak. Their will was enough. Now the galaxy saw it was true. Finally, one message came. A single transmission, carried on an old code long forgotten. The alien translators stuttered as they decoded it. It was one sentence. "We were never gone." The alien fleet went silent. Every admiral, every captain, every soldier stared at the words. They knew then that the warships before them were not myths. They were human. The message repeated once more. We were never gone. And then, just as suddenly as they had appeared, the human fleet began to withdraw. Their ships slid back into the void, engines glowing faintly before vanishing into the dark. Within minutes they were gone. The alien fleet remained frozen, too terrified to follow. Not a single shot had been fired, yet the galaxy's greatest armada had been broken, not in battle but in will. When the report reached the council, the chamber shook with fear. Some envoys demanded surrender before humans struck first. Others shouted for negotiations. A few still called for war, but their voices sounded hollow now. Salura, calm and pale, spoke the truth none wished to hear. This was not a battle, this was a test. They wanted to see if we would break, and we did. Silence swallowed the chamber. Every envoy understood. The clash had not been of weapons, but of wills. And humanity had won. Humanity's revelation, the galaxy no longer argued about legends. The human fleet had appeared in full view, surrounding an armada 5 times its size and forcing it to silence without firing a single shot. Fear spread like wildfire. Markets collapsed, colonies panicked, and even the most arrogant admirals spoke in hushed voices. But the greatest shock was yet to come. The Galactic High Council called for an emergency session. Every envoy, every ambassador, Every admiral crowded into the vast chamber. The crystal walls glowed dimly as if reflecting the unease in the room. "They are predators," Drax of the Valon Dominion shouted. His voice cracked with fear. "They will consume us all. We must strike before it is too late." Another envoy slammed the table. "Strike? Did you not see what happened? 500 ships surrounded and not a single human vessel destroyed. If that is their power and silence, what would war look like?" Voices rose and fell like crashing waves. Some demanded surrender. Some begged for peace. Some wept in silence. And then, the chamber fell quiet. A screen lit up at the center. It was a transmission. The image was simple. A single warship, black and gleaming, drifting calmly against the backdrop of stars. The silence stretched until a voice spoke. Deep, steady, human. "We are not myths. We are not gone. We are humanity." The envoys leaned forward, their eyes wide. "For centuries you erased us from your records. You told yourselves we were legends, ghosts, bedtime stories. And we allowed it, we watched, we waited. While you fought wars and built empires, we built something else." The image shifted. Behind the speaker, vast silhouettes appeared, rows upon rows of human warships, their engines glowing blue. The camera pulled back, revealing fleets stretching across the void, more ships than the Council had ever imagined. Gasps filled the chamber. Some envoys clutched their chests, others shook their heads in disbelief. The voice continued, calm but unyielding. "You thought us extinct. You thought our silence meant weakness. But silence was our shield. Patience was our weapon. Now, we reveal only a fraction of what we hold. We do not seek conquest. We do not seek submission. We seek respect. Nothing more. Nothing less." The words struck like thunder. On alien worlds, citizens crowded around screens watching the broadcast. Miners in the rim, merchants in the core, soldiers in barracks, all froze, hearing the voice of the humans for the first time in living memory. "If peace is offered, we will answer with peace. If respect is given, we will stand as allies. But if chains are brought to our door..." The voice grew harder, sharper, each word cutting into the silence. "Then we will break them before they ever touch our hands." The screen darkened. The message ended. For a long moment, the council chamber remained still. No one spoke. No one moved. The envoys sat frozen, their pride shattered, their fear undeniable. At last, Salura rose. Her voice was barely a whisper, but every ear heard it. The legends were true, and the truth is far greater than the stories. Across the galaxy, the transmission replayed again and again. It echoed in every home, every fleet, every colony. The humans had spoken, and their words burned deeper than any weapon. Admiral Vorin, who had once mocked the myths, sat alone in his quarters, trembling. He remembered the black ship that had disabled his destroyer with a single flash. He remembered, the eyes of his crew wide with fear. Now he understood. "This is no legend," he muttered. "This is the future," and far away, deep in uncharted space, the human fleets gathered. Thousands of ships aligned in silence, engines glowing like stars. They had revealed only a glimpse, but it was enough to change the galaxy forever. The universe now knew the truth. Humans were not gone. They had never left. They had